Welcome into our live instant draft analysis. Ashlyn, Sullivan, Morganti here with you. A lot of drama already for the Philadelphia Flyers in this draft. It was a lot of anticipation when Danny Briere made that trade. They only trade down one spot to 13 to get a new centerman, Jet Luchenko. And Al, what do you know about this guy? We knew that centerman was definitely a need.
Yeah, you knew they were going to have either defenseman or centerman where they were going to go. I think it's a pretty sweet trade. You got a pick in next year's draft, which is supposed to be much deeper for one position. And if you were going to go center anyway, it was either one or two guys. Him or Hellenius were the two guys I would be looking at here. I guess the way you'd look at this kid would be high motor, energy guy, drive play. I mean, you know where they need them. You know, you've got wingers. You've got a lot of right wingers now. You've got some depth here. So you need some centers. And this is a kid that I think his ceiling will be, and not right away, obviously, but I mean, you look at a guy that could develop, become a playmaker, two-way, and work ethic. I mean, that's all kind of baked into this player already.
Right. We saw that he won a sportsmanship award and most sportsmanlike on his team, and getting ready to learn more about this prospect here as we're going to interview him shortly. But Al, you look at just the position as a whole, it was very much needed. I mean, if you look at the Flyers, their whole roster, centerman was something that was an absolute must to get.
Yeah, if you couldn't get one of the top D, I was surprised how many. I actually thought they'd have a shot at a couple because I was surprised how many went earlier. And I guess the whole league now, Ashlyn, you look at it, you got to be in the middle. You've got, Columbus now in down the middle. That's what you're really looking at. And that's where the Flyers had to get some depth in this draft and in future drafts. So later rounds here and certainly next year. I think it's no small matter that they picked up another pick in the top 3 rounds for what's supposed to be a remarkably good draft next year. So I look at that as looking toward the future, getting the kind of player that they want. I think what you see is now they've got kind of the approach in place. You've got that skilled player. Well, obviously with Michkov, that news kind of changed the equation for everything. So you kind of now add pieces that will help his game.
Do you think the Michkov news this week, do you think that impacted this trade here today?
I do. I think you look at it, like, as you said, okay, we're going to get somebody we have to get playmakers to kind of set this up. So I do think I think it was going to happen anyway, matter of when. So I think they knew that had to come. I don't think that they're quite done though. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they add I'm not saying a big name free agency or in a trade, but add some more size in the middle going into next season.
Right, because you don't know when this prospect is going to be ready, and you just look at their centerman now for the Flyers. Sean Couturier, we dealing with big time injuries, and Ryan Poehling was a guy that was supposed to be a third line centerman that was playing most of the minutes last season. And while he's a great asset player, that's not something you can hang your hat on, especially when you have put all your eggs in this basket of Michkov now coming over.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. I mean, the power play is going to be better just because of him coming over. So now you're looking at a couple of years down the road, where do we need the help? And this will be now you're starting to build that. And they should have plenty of options because they've got a lot of picks this year. And apparently, I was joking with Danny Briere, I would trade all my picks this year for next year's draft. And he managed to pick up an extra one here. So I'm really thinking that's it's a small move, but you look at what the Flyers have done with Briere, Dan Hilferty, and Jonesy to come in, and they've been moves that haven't created big tidal waves, but they're really good moves, quiet moves going on, and that's what they've continued to do here and get a guy who. I don't think it was. I think some people thought he might go lower, maybe next round even. But for the Flyers to have the time that they have to develop and the kind of player that they want, and that's another big thing here. What kind of player that you want? You mentioned an award that he already won. The quality of person that they want to come in here, and I think that's what they're trying to build here.
Right, and we were joking watching the draft on ESPN Live. Danny Briere does not have the best poker face because the smirk was coming out just like when he smirked a couple of days before Michkov came to Philadelphia. It's clear he has fun with this. He is good at it very clearly, and we have been so impressed with the job Danny Briere has already done to start getting more assets. And I love the upfrontness, right? I love the honesty that we're still looking to the future despite the surprise success of last season.
Yeah, and they do it, and they've got good relationships with other teams. Quickly, very like that, quickly. He and Jonesy, because haven't played. You look at other GMs that have made maneuvers that they've dealt with here. Very quickly, they've been able to get things done. And this was I believe this was the first time they used that horn for the trade at Sphere in Vegas. So they couldn't wait. I'm sure Vegas, they are absolutely thrilled with the Flyers that they could use their new toy. First time they could use their new toy. And it was brand. You really look at it, the kind of the showmanship they had. They bring in Buffer to go with his slogan that gets everybody going. And I don't know how many times he mentioned he was from Philadelphia. So he's got that going. So I mean, maybe stole some of the spotlight away from Celine Dion come in with a name like that.
I don't know about that, but two things very much surprising. One, when I saw that the trade was going to happen, I thought, oh, for sure they're trading out of the first round. That's definitely happening. Except they trade down one spot, and I was not expecting a surprise appearance like that to announce the trade.
No,
but I'm sure Danny Briere was so happy to not have to do that. I'm sure he very gracefully passed that off.
I don't know how to explain to Keith Jones who it was, but once they get through that, I'm sure everybody was thrilled with it to come in and have a move like that. If I'm Minnesota, I'm a fan. I'm like, what are you doing? You're trading away a pick for one position. You give, and look at next year's draft, supposed to be so deep, and that's the big plus for me. It's that additional pick that they get.
Right, and it's clear that Minnesota wanted that prospect enough to move up for it. But now you look at Jet Luchenko, and now you wonder, Al, okay, well, when are we going to see him? When is this going to be a guy that the Flyers can count on for years to come?
Well, we'll see him here, come in and, kind of just get a look at an introduction or whatever you will. But I wouldn't think for a year or two to come in and see him and see how quickly he develops and how strong you can get, how quickly you can get that strength. I mean, there's certain guys in this draft, even over the last half of their season, their draft status went up because they just got bigger.
Right.
So that's what we'll get to follow.
Yes, it is. So the Flyers, they select Jet Luchenko, a centerman, with the 13th pick. They trade that 12th pick with Minnesota. They swap picks, and they get a third-round pick in next year's 2025 draft, which we are hearing is going to be a great draft. So that is good for Danny Briere and the Flyers. And we're going to get to hear from Jet Luchenko coming up. So stay tuned to our NBC Sports Philadelphia digital channels to check out that interview. And thank you all so much for joining this live instant reaction from the draft. Ashlyn, Sullivan, Al Morganti. We'll talk to you soon.